I am sorry, but this cannot be seen as a well-structured research proposal in terms of many aspects. You want to prove the superiority of the Christian god to Zeus through examining their respective way of treating their wives. Putting your postmodern theological assumption of a feminist god aside, even all would agree that the true god must not be a misogynist, and you can prove that the Christian god is not. This is far from enough to prove the superiority of the Christian god, not to mention that the literature you have examined provides no clue how you can refute those feminist critiques of the image of Yahweh in the OT. Yeah, he has written Yahweh HWA, aka YHWA, so no, it's not Yahweh HWH, like YHWH, like the tetragrammaton, it's like YHWA. Anyways, I think your apologetic standpoint has significantly prevented you from assessing, using, and interpreting literature in the subject area in a non-selective way. Signed December 8th at 14:57, Ze Gao, my supervisor of my dissertation. So, I want to show you a video. I will show you a video. Can you see this?
You're still not going out. You could throw a fit. You could throw a fit. You're not going out. You just had a bath. Throwing a hissy fit isn't going to help. No.
So, what you saw is a husky that has thrown a temper tantrum to his owner because he refuses to actually have a bath, right? So, the dog you saw, spiritually speaking, like I'm doing here spiritual reading. The dog is my ex. I am the owner. I'm telling my ex, look, you're not gonna go for a walkie. You have taken a bath. When you have taken a bath, I have explained to my ex, when we take a shower, we are not going outside again because we are gonna spoil our shower. We have to stay at home and be clean people. What the fuck is here? So my ex doesn't understand this vocabulary, obviously, because he's my ex. Obviously, if he was not my ex, he wouldn't be like my ex. You get what I mean? Anyways, so my ex actually, like, he wants to go for a walk. I'm explaining to him, look, you have taken a bath, you can't go outside again. My ex hears that and he's throwing a temper tantrum. The temper tantrum that he's throwing is the dog, the husky. It's kind of dog, kind of a wolf. It's a mixture. You don't know, like evolution says it's exactly the same thing. It came from the same ancestor and all that crap from Zeus. Oh, I forgot. I can't speak about Zeus because my hold on a second. My apologetic standpoint has significantly prevented me from accessing, using and interpreting literature in the subject area in a non-selective way. I want to prove the superiority of the Christian god to Zeus through examining their respective way of treating their wives. Putting my postmodern theological assumption of a feminist god aside, even all would agree that the true God must not be a misogynist, and you can prove that I can prove that the Christian God is not. This is far from enough to prove the superiority of the Christian God. Not to mention that the literature I have examined provides no clue how I can refute those feministic critiques of the image of Yahweh in the Old Testament. So hold on a second, because here I see so many flaws in the argument that actually it's a pain in my, I don't know, my entire mystical psyche. Don't mind me, I'm actually just like stretching my back. So, bestie, can I ask you something? So, you are saying that there is a postmodern theological assumption of a feminist God, but at the same time, you are telling me that there are feminist critiques of the image of Yahweh in the Old Testament. So, explain to me. So, there is a postmodern theological assumption that God is a feminist, or there is a feministic critique of the image of Yahweh in the Old Testament. How can these both things coexist in the same sentence? And you say I have an issue with my argument when you say to me that there is a postmodern, some dudes, let's explain it properly, in because my ex is a show off. My ex can't speak proper English and not proper Greek and Chinese. I am seriously sorry for people in China that had to suffer him, because I have read that Chinese language is very hard to speak, and it doesn't go with word learning like we learn in Greek and English. You actually have to learn an ideogram and learn how to combine it with others, something like that. I'm not efficient in that, but I learned that the more ideograms you learn, the more academic your level of knowing is. So I think if you know 4,000 ideograms, you are considered like a PhD level, something like that. But as I said, I'm not quite sure about that. That doesn't work like that in Western society anyways. That's not how you learn Greek, that's not how you learn English. So I read in the article that it's completely the opposite of how we do it in the West. But anyways, according to this article, my ex knows a lot of ideograms in Chinese, in Mandarin. So, bestie, hear me out. Because you actually use this vocabulary, like you are using like very difficult vocabulary, and I'm sure the majority of my immortal, very low life audiences don't understand what you're talking about. So you are saying in very plain English that there are some dudes after the destruction of the empires in the previous century. So that happened about 50, 60, 70 maximum years ago. Okay, so in 70 years, the past 70 years, people sat down and said, look, the God of the Bible is actually misogynist, let's make him appear a feminist. And there are also some other people who disagree with said feminist scholars of the 70 years that we speak, Babylonian exile. I'm saying my own things here, don't mind me. And they say, look, I think you are stupid. I think the God of the Bible is actually misogynist and you are reading it wrongly. Baby, can I ask you something? Because even this is getting, it closes on its own. It's getting bored with what I'm saying. Baby, can I ask you something? So you are saying that in 1930, let's put it that way, people woke up one day and said, okay, I think that Yahweh is actually a misogynist. Let's make him appear like he's a Barbie girl. And that means that during the Great Depression, like the fall of the stock market 1929, people were like, God is a misogynist. God hates women. If you are a woman, you are like an animal. Go fuck yourself. So this is how it works in your standpoint. Like this is how it works. Like people before 1930, they were like, God is a misogynist, and then they woke up in the next year and they said, no, he's actually a feminist. And there were some people who opposed that, because this is what you write down. I'm explaining. And you say that I am the craphead that says bullshit, and it's crazy. Because what you say doesn't make any sense. It's like you are invalidating. If you're like, Helga, that's what I'm saying, but why do you have a problem with that? I have a problem with what you say because you assume that the people of my culture for thousands of years, they had a standpoint about a deity that he's a misogynist, and just because some crapheads from today, from 70 years, they say that my God is a misogynist, I have to buy this crap. Bestie, if somebody went and said Allah is a misogynist, I have never spoken about Allah like that, and I will never do that, because if a Muslim woman chooses to put a veil in her head, I think that this is oppression, and I can explain if she wants me to explain to her. I can explain why I see it like that. But the fact that she chooses to wear a veil, that doesn't mean that it is oppression. It is her free choice to wear that. And Paul supported people like the women in Corinth who used to wear these veils. They used to prove that you are a married woman and not a single woman. It differentiated. It was a society status pretty much. He led them and he encouraged them, and he didn't oppose them and say this is demonic, take it out. Okay, I'm never gonna do that either. He said if you wanna wear it, do it. If you don't, that's fine. That's what he's writing in the First Corinthians. I would never go to a Greek an Arab woman, Fauzia, the singer, she's wearing it when she goes to Morocco. I wouldn't go and tell her don't put it. She wants to put it, and mind me, there are so many Muslim women who are rocking the hijab, and honestly they are stunning, they are gorgeous. They are putting colorful veils, they are putting with colors like flowers and polka dots and all that crap. They are amazingly beautiful. You see them and you are like, she is like the stereotypical Middle Eastern Mediterranean beauty. And I don't know, like I see them, no irony here, honestly, I feel like a lesbian when I see these women. They have amazing hair, they have amazing skin, very very pretty women, and they put the hijab, very beautiful, and all power to them. They're women, I understand where they come from, unironically here. So you are saying that we and them shouldn't exist because you see our God as a misogynist and we have to buy the crap that you guys say for our gods. Like, I don't think that I worship the same God as these women, but still, that doesn't mean that I can't defend where they're coming from, because these scholars say that our gods are misogynist because mine says this, stay silent in the church, her God says put a veil. You don't know why these things are written down in our cultures. You don't know what they mean, why they are there. You don't know anything. And you say, don't speak about that, don't speak about this, don't speak about that. Yeah, I'm speaking, bestie, because it's my culture. You all crapheads speak about my culture, and I can't defend my culture with my own tools, my own identity, my own voice, because you decided with your own expensive degrees that you have to say crap about our cultures and we have to buy these things. No, best, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do this bullshit, because when you say that some people think that Yahweh in the Old Testament is a misogynist, why don't you ask a Middle Eastern woman, a Greek woman, and a Roman woman, a Turkish woman, woman in Turkey, can be any race, whatever, an Arab, a Jewish woman. Why don't you ask us how we see God? Because you assume stuff that the patriarchs have done for centuries. And when we say patriarchs, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean men? Do you mean priests? Do you mean the Pharisees? What exactly do you mean when you say that? But anyways, because that's different. I mean that's what I mean. Like, it's different when you say Paul. It's different when you say Augustine. It's different when you say Antichrist, Persis, right? Charlie Kirk, completely, the one is completely different to the other. Just because Charlie Kirk said something about women, that doesn't mean that this is supported by scripture. And this is what you say. This is what you write there. And then you say that I have to refute them. No, I don't. I don't care what a barbarian has to say about my culture. And if this sounds weird, let me tell you, it is even weirder for me that people that are barbarians for my culture, and I am expected to respect them when they are considered barbarians. Like, I am doing the great milestone here to like respect them and not call them barbarians. But when you treat me like I am in a cave and my people put up with the deity and I need a savior to save me from this deity, okay? Sorry, I'm gonna call you a barbarian because you don't know my voice, you don't know how I grew up, you don't know anything about my culture, and for the Arab women, okay? For an Arab woman, if she wears a veil, that means protection for her children. It means that she is valuable for God. It means many things. I'm not saying I agree with all these things, but not a craphead from the middle of nowhere. I don't care from which country. China, America, they come and say your God is a misogynist. Why should the Arab woman do apologetics for her beliefs to a craphead barbarian that doesn't respect her God? Tell me about that for a moment, because that's why I'm not doing apologetics. You say I have an apologetic standpoint. No, bestie, I don't have an apologetic standpoint. My father is not a criminal to be an apologetic here. Apologia in Greek, Apologia του Σοκράτη, the apology of Socrates, that's a book by Plato, is when you are a criminal, you go in the trial and you are questioned for the crime you have committed. You are not like explaining yourself, you are defending yourself because you are even facing something like a death penalty. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that for my dad. My dad is not a criminal. I'm sorry. I'm explaining only when I'm speaking why people misinterpret Yahweh from a Greek pagan standpoint. That's all I'm doing. I'm not defending my father. My father doesn't need my defense because he's a deity, and at the same time I am not doing that because you don't want to listen. You had me an entire year. You had no idea what the fuck I stand for. You had no clue that I am an ex-pagan. You had no idea that I am a prophet. You had no idea that I'm actually defending the pagans. You thought I am roasting them, that I want to prove that my God is better. And even if I wanted to do that, what is your issue with me wanting to do that? Why did you come into my continent telling me how I'm gonna do my job in my continent? I didn't go in China and start saying that Buddha is demonic. If I did that, you would flag me. And if someone ever did that in China, I would flag them too, because you are abominable for me if you go to random people that haven't done shit to you, telling them your God is demon. I don't do that, bestie. I'm not doing that. Have you ever read carefully how I'm writing my novels, my posts, my dissertation, my essays? Have you noticed how I am speaking? Have you noticed that? Because you are putting all the Westerners in a single basket and you say we speak in the same manner. If a Westerner came to China and said to a random Chinese person, you worship the devil, whether this devil is President Xi, whether this devil is Confucius, whether this devil is actually Lao Tzu or Buddha, I would say this person is a barbarian. I wouldn't side with them just because somehow, somewhere in the middle, I agree with what they say. No, because you aren't provoked to speak like that. You have to sit down and explain to them in kindness, look, I think you have to learn about my deity. I think my deity is better because I have this, and that, and that's what I'm doing. And you assume that I'm doing exactly that. No, you came in my continent, and you started Chinesing me, Ching, Chan, Chon, this and that. And that's disgusting. Because if somebody from my people went back in your country in a university, in Beijing, in Hong Kong, I don't care where the fuck, and they did the exact same thing, I would roast the crap out of them, and I would say that this is disgusting beyond measure, because these people have built an entire worldview and ideology on this deity, whatever this deity is, even if it is a person, even if you say Buddha is a human, I don't care. Because they have built an entire ideology upon this person. If somebody goes and says this is a demon, you dismantle a person's whole worldview. You can't do that. If you have to do that, you have to replace it with something else, because you leave a person empty. And that's abominable. That's disgusting. And you seriously had me for an entire year and you thought I am doing that. Do you understand now why I never put myself in the position to explain to you what I am doing, that why I do this, what the fuck I am doing, and what is the purpose of my job? Because you didn't want to listen. If you don't want to listen, I'm not going to explain. You have ears, use them. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an ear doctor. I'm not gonna help you put the device in your ear. How the fuck is this called? I'm using this metaphor every single day. Ακουστικό βαρικοΐας, it's called. So it's called hearing aid. Yeah, I'm not gonna put you a hearing aid. That's what I'm saying. Put a hearing aid in your heart, Ze. That's your problem. It's not your ears. Your ears work perfectly fine. Your problem is your heart. You didn't wanna listen to me. You wanted to listen what you wanted to listen. You think that my people were in a monkey tree in the caves. They worshipped a deity that it is tyrannical, that doesn't provide you anything good. And you came from the civilized country. That's why I'm calling you a nationalist. And you came over here to prove us that our deity is actually bad. No, it doesn't work like that. If we have issues with our deities, we will solve it ourselves. We don't need anybody from outside that doesn't know our experiences and our voices and our culture and just assume stuff because they have read it in a book. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm gonna do you the favor though. I'm gonna put, you said, bestie, dear ex, you said, okay, let's answer. So, putting your postmodern theological assumption of a feminist God aside, even all would agree that the true God must not be a misogynist, and you can prove that the Christian God is not. This is far from enough to prove. Have you learned punctuation, by the way? Because seriously, it's ridiculous. You are trying so much to say so many things. You forgot the punctuation. You say that I am worthless, that I'm not doing anything well with my job. You are speaking about my culture as if it is your culture, like Christianity is from Greece. You should be more respectful even with that, because I remind you, Ze, you are a barbarian. I am not. Learn some respect. Your parents definitely didn't teach you respect. That's why I'm telling you here, okay? But apart from that, you say, putting your postmodern theological assumption of a feminist God aside, even all would agree that the true God must not be a misogynist, and you can prove that the Christian God is not. Full stop there, not a comma. And capital T, and you begin. This is far from enough. This is how you write in a sentence, or you put like the dash. Z. Learn punctuation. You are a PhD, 45-year-old man. Learn punctuation. If you wanna roast somebody, learn your bullshit before roasting them, because you appear like a clown. I have told you this many times in my channel. So let's continue. This is far from enough to prove the superiority of the Christian God, not to mention that the literature you have examined provides no clue how you can refute those feminist critiques of the image of Yahweh in the Old Testament. And my father's name is Yahweh, he's not Yahweh, but anyways, whatever. He doesn't mind. I'm not saying that to say that this is a sin that you are doing, because I know you operate in different wavelengths and maybe you won't understand what I'm talking about. No, that's not a sin. I'm just explaining. My father's name is Yahweh, not Yahweh. The next time you wanna roast somebody, check your spelling, check your punctuation, and then send the nasty text. Okay? So, you think that the literature I have provided and examined, which is the literature I have examined and provided, the mystical sacred texts of the Iliad, the Odyssey, Theogony, the Protagoras, the Republic, I examined the mystical text in their original because I am a mystic. That's what I did. And you say that this is far from enough to refute those feminist critiques of the image of Yahweh in the Old Testament. Okay, I'm gonna play your game. I will put you here, Francesca Stavrakopoulou, who is one of the most prominent feministic critics of the Old Testament and the image of Yahweh there. She's a Greek-British. She's half Greek, half British. Her name is fully Greek, Francesca Stavrakopoulou, that's fully Greek. But she was born and raised in Britain. I don't think she knows how to speak Greek, by the way. I'm gonna put a video or a lecture for the rest of the fucking video of her speaking about my dad. I'm gonna refute that, and let me know at the end of the video if I have managed to refute her properly academically scholarly enough for your ears, for your eyes, because I was never scholarly enough for you. Is that a deal, bestie? Thank you. I'm gonna continue like that. So, I have chocolate. I have my Sprite in my Mario Bros cup. I have my coffee. I have my nerves today. I have a very bad mood. I have a headache. I have taken 2 pills because I went to the shower to dye my hair black to play the Snow White for a husband that is dead. Actually, you were never a husband. You were an abusive, nasty piece of shit. That's what you were for me. But anyways, because I don't have the appetite to speak about anything else, I wanted to speak about the Iliad, but I don't have the appetite for this because I'm very tired from the shower, and when I'm showering myself I have a headache later, so I had to take 2 pills. That's what I do every time I get out of the shower. My father wanted me to tell you, Ze, this is because of your behavior. He says I have the problem. She has the problem because she misses you, and she gets the headache because it is a psychological reaction. She has a physical pain because she has psychological pain, and that is because you dumped her. That's what he says. Because you left her, and he says about Malachi chapter 2, if you wanna read that. Anyways, so I'm gonna start with the game. Okay? I focused a little bit more the camera. My chocolate. So I'm trying to find Francesca Stavrakopoulou. Do we have a small video? Extended interview. The real Israelite religion is about to go live. Okay. Okay, look, you know what? I'm gonna put the ABC interview because it's 13 minutes long and I'm not trusting myself that I'm gonna finish the fucking thing because I never managed to do that. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna put that, I suppose. Yeah, it's the infamous shit where she says that um yeah, that the biblical God that doesn't didn't hire any like um Moses because Moses doesn't exist. Helga, what are you looking at? I'm looking at. I was trying to take a screenshot. I wanted to show you something because I speak Hebrew, and Zay, you can't believe what I'm saying here. You will never believe me. I speak Hebrew with my dad. Yeah, Yahweh is talking to me in Hebrew. So here, this is Francesca, by the way. She wants to be scholarly enough, and she says, "Meet the God of the Bible." That is El. That is E, and this is L. So E L. You read it from the opposite, so right to left, and this is L. This is E. Yeah, that means God in Hebrew, and she wants to prove in her entire Francesca Stavrakopoulou PhD. She's trying to prove for over a decade. She's same age as you, and she has been in the most prominent universities in the world, in the UK, that my father is actually a pagan deity. So she's doing exactly what I'm saying, but she's doing it in the opposite manner. She says that my father is a pagan deity. I'm saying that the pagan deities copy my dad. So I know Jess is more scholarly enough than me. I know that. I know that. Even if I didn't want to have inferiority complex, you have given it to me. But my father is not El. My father is Elohim. Elohim is the plural of the word El. El is singular. It's God. Elohim means gods because my father is a Trinity. Thank me later. Okay. Icicle Golem, effective icebreaker. Why watch? Why the fuck watch Prince of Egypt and the King of Dreams, Joseph, when you can actually watch Francesca Stavrakopoulou saying that these people never existed and that we people in Mediterranean are margining them and we believe in fairy tales and dragons and fairies. So yeah, that's amazing. You know, she can pull the victim card whenever she wants to. Whenever she wants to be a British, she can say I am British, I am a Westerner. And whenever she chooses to, she can say I am a Greek. I know that because it is my culture. Yeah, sure. Sure enough, that's why she's lying about everything. I know people in Greece that know about her and they say that she's a disgrace for Greece, and I can't agree more because she's twisting our scriptures, she's twisting our cultures, and she's using the Greek card to say that she knows that, and whenever that card doesn't suit her narrative, she's playing the British. And I hate that. I'm not doing that crap. I have issues with my culture, but I'm not in that manner. I have issues with humanity, with kindness, with politeness, with accepting other people. Many Greeks today don't do that, not all of them obviously. We have manners, we are the mother of Europe, but we have issues, serious issues we have to fix in Greece. From how we have stolen some money, not all of them, exactly as I said, always. Yeah, there are poor Greeks that have stolen money and they deserve to be poor, and there are some other Greeks in Greece that haven't stolen a single coin in their life. They have worked very hard and they don't deserve to be poor. It really works both ways. And I always speak about that. She doesn't do that. She's using the Greek card like she has her Twitter and she says, I am Greeky. No, you are not Greeky, bestie. You are a British barbarian and you are actually using your legacy because you are descendant from Greece to roast our civilization and say crap for our civilization and say that people from my culture and your culture, bestie, don't exist. And that's crazy news. Like in Greece, we say that everybody that is in a myth was at some point a historical person, even if they are completely fictionalized at this point. For example, we say that Odysseus is a real historical person. We just have his story embellished. For example, there is a castle slash palace remnants in Ithaca, the island Ithaca in Greece, and we know that it is actually the palace of Odysseus. And if you're like, seriously, you have that from so long ago? Yeah, 3,000 years old remnants. Yeah, and we know it is from Odysseus, that it is the historical Odysseus. We just don't know what exactly went on with him. What was the actual story? We know the mythological story, the embellished story with the monsters and the beasts and the gods and the demons and all that crap. Probably that's our assumption, obviously. There was a guy that was the king of Ithaca in very, very old Greece, aka 3,000 years ago, even more, maybe more, who knows. The castle remnants are very, very old. I had a friend and she had told me that these remnants are there and it's very close to her house. So what I'm saying is that you can go and visit that place there and it's actually the palace, okay? And probably there was a guy, that's maybe what they believe, that there was a guy that couldn't return home from Troy. Probably he fought in the war. He couldn't return home. When he returned home, his wife was waiting for him, Penelope. She was waiting for him. And his son was old, and probably people wanted to take his throne. Probably there was a quarrel in the island, like people were in his house, he killed them to take back his palace and shit and all that jazz. We cannot know all the details, but obviously there was a guy that tried to go home and he couldn't return home for one way or the other, and probably they said it was Zeus that didn't allow him to go back. And by all means, if the story is correct, probably this is what happened. The devil had an eye on him and Yahweh was trying to help him, something like that. As I said, assumptions. And someday he returned home everything is okay, and they lived happily ever after. The Iliad, yeah, there was a war that happened in Troy for something. We don't know what that was. We know the mythological version says that it was about a woman. It is very plausible that it was for a woman, because if a Greek woman was stolen by a foreign civilization, yeah, that would be a cause for war. You can find this even in the Old Testament with Dinah. When Dinah was taken by a guy from another culture, her brothers, the sons of Jacob, went there and killed the entire town, not only the guy that took her, but also the town. This is something that must have happened in this old civilization, because we speak for almost 3,000 years ago, or even more, maybe even more. Not 3,000 years old stories, maybe even more, some centuries more. You get what I mean? But not only that, even if this was not what happened, like for a woman, we know that there was a city there in Troy. That's modern Turkey slash small Asia, Greek territory. This is where Greeks lived. Yes, these people there probably were Greeks by all means, just different tribe. That's what I'm saying. And the other plausible reason that many people say in Greece today, yeah, even scholars say that the war happened in Troy, was for financial reasons, that they had treasures, that they had money, and the Greeks eyed the money and they wanted to take the money from these people, and that's why they burned Troy. We don't know what happened in details. We know the very vague story. Obviously enough, it's more than 3,000 years old story. If you think you know everything about Mulan, you are mistaken. I would buy I would buy lottery ticket. I would bet my head. I don't know what exactly to say to prove it to you that Mulan had a boyfriend. You just don't know this part of her story, because it wouldn't fit the narrative of the very rebellious slash masculine warrior of China. Obviously she would have a boyfriend. She was a woman. I am a woman. I know how she would feel, even if she had to do that. Even if she had chosen to do that, I have chosen to be a prophet. That doesn't mean I don't want a husband. I'm not craving a husband. She obviously would have a boyfriend. You just don't know all the details, because the story is so ancient and so much told from oral tradition that you have forgotten details. That's what exactly has happened in Greece. But that doesn't mean that these people aren't real people. Saying in a public domain that these people are fictional proves that you have no idea what the ancient cultures stand for. You say that ancient people were monkeys just because they didn't have proper documentation like we have today, just because they had different understanding of how a culture should be, and you think they are monkeys because they lack technology. And that proves that you are the monkey. Because as I said the other day, όσο πιο ψηλά πάει μαϊμού, τόσο πιο πολύ φαίνεται ο κόλος της. How the monkey chooses to go higher in the tree, this proves that you can see her butt better, that her butt gets exposed more. That's all you do. You are the monkey, it's not the ancestors that are chimpanzees and gorillas. You get what I mean? So, having her saying that Moses didn't exist when his story isn't embellished with all these monsters, Cyclops and Lestriones and all that crap. It doesn't have Odysseus' story. Odysseus was kept by a nymph, for example, for 7 years. Probably this didn't happen like that. Probably he was kept by a woman, I suppose. A woman who was abusive, said she would help him. She didn't. Probably she was rich, maybe a queen in Malta, modern day Malta or something. She kept him. We cannot know all the details, obviously. The story says she was a deity. Obviously she was not. But we know that something happened. But Moses' story doesn't have all these details. It only has how an oppressed civilization actually got supported by a god. Nothing else you didn't see a person emerging from the sea and, I don't know, having lasers in their eyes like you could see in the Homeric poems, for example. No, it's pretty straightforward. It just says that God performed some miracles and he sustained some people in the desert. I don't know why we should dispute that and say, no, Moses didn't exist. We don't have any clue that he existed. What clue would you like to have after 3,000 years, his bones? That's your clue. And how would you perform DNA in a mummy 3,000 years old and prove that this is Moses? Like, you have to have something to tie this person with this bone to prove that it is actually him. If you don't have any descendant, aka I am a descendant of Moses, right? How can you identify that the bone actually belongs to Moses and say he is a historical? You can't. So how can you delude yourself that he's not a historical person because you don't have bones and because you say you don't have a record? I can prove you that there are records that he existed, but you say they are fabricated. That's why I say I never do apologetics, because whatever I bring, you disprove it and say that it is not correct and factual, and I'm not gonna do that. My father is not a criminal. You are disproving and you are doubting everything I put forward, and I'm not gonna do this mind game, because this is a mind game by an antichrist. Yes, Francesca is an antichrist. What she's doing is the work of the antichrist, because whatever I prove to her, even spiritually, look, bestie, you say that this guy didn't exist. Would you believe me if I told you that Baal, Zeus, exist as well? Not only the humans from these stories exist, but also the deities are factual people. They are just, you don't see them, but you can contact them if you do it properly, like I do, like Sarah, that divination which is doing, like Muhammad the prophet did it, like Moses did it. You can actually talk with the spirits. She will bash that. She will say I am crazy. She won't believe me. She won't say that the occult is a real thing and you can actually get involved into that, because she is adamant that people don't exist. So how can I prove to her that spirits exist when she is adamant that humans don't exist? That's why I'm not doing apologetics. That's what I'm saying. I'm not doing apologetics. I'm not. Sorry. But anyways, I'm gonna put the video now that I explained a bit. I have spoken for quite some time, but now I'm gonna put the video. So this is the video, Francesca Stavrakopoulou, the weekly extender interview. So
she's a renowned biblical scholar.
So you see her, she's putting the somehow veil, she's Greek, and she's going in the original place where the manuscript was written. She will show you some I don't know, statues, effigies, icons, I don't know, scriptures, and she starts saying her crap and you believe her. Yeah, definitely. Sorry. The reason that I never bothered to explain to you is because you can't see what I'm seeing. Like, I am saying all that crap that I see, you think there's something wrong with my understanding, not with your understanding. So why bother myself explaining to you that you have the problem here and not me, when you refuse to listen to me in first place to start with? If you wanted to listen, you would. Even if you understood that you can't understand me, you would have put the hearing aid yourself. You wouldn't wait for me to talk to you and tell you, look, you need a hearing aid. The fact that you didn't and you are so adamant that you are okay with what you say just proves my point. You don't want to listen to me. Okay? That's what I'm saying. And by the way, Zé, I wanted to show you something. She's very pretty. She's your age. I don't know if she's married. I'm not doing here like the agent of marriage or whatever. I'm not doing that, like dowry and shit. But she looks like a Snow White. She has like black hair. She's a Mediterranean. She's actually a pretty beautiful woman. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying she's a classical Greek beauty. This is how women in Greece are. Why don't you take her and you want me to play the Snow White? Because you don't like how I speak. You prefer a woman like her. Why don't you take her then? Why don't you take another Greek woman who is a scholar and she's more like with her approach, she's more academic enough than I am, because I'm never gonna be that woman. I'm not that person. That's not how I speak. I like to curse. I like to speak for the fact that I like. I am an ex-pagan. I am a prophet, and this is my real face, and you don't like that. So why don't you bother yourself taking a woman that will actually be in your own standards? You get what I mean? Anyways, I'm not gonna waste my time speaking more about that. Let's put the fucking video. Can we lower down a little bit this one? Thank you. It's very bright for my eyes, but don't worry, it's gonna be okay here. Okay? So, let's put it here. Let's see
who
what she
devoted
says.
her life to looking for the historical evidence of one of the world's most important books.
But I'm not a fundamentalist who takes every word of the Bible as fact. I think the truth is much more interesting.
Would you please welcome Francesca?
Yeah, the Bible is a historical text for the culture that it was written for. It is a historical manuscript. If you don't like that aspect, change Job. You get what I mean? The Bible was written for Hebrews primarily and for Greeks. A British woman in the 21st century, a postmodern feministic critique scholar, can't come from the middle of nowhere even if she is Greek descendant and say that it is not historical fact when for my culture it is. Because, for example, the Gospel of Luke, for example, it has the genealogy of Jesus, his ancestry. Genesis, which is a Hebrew book, also has the ancestry of Abraham and the descendants of Adam, as you can imagine. This is historical document for the standards of my society, and the Hebrews, that's his history. It's not mythology. Mythology is Iliad and Odyssey. The Bible is not. And if you don't like that, and if you're like, how can you say that because it is a document in my culture, and just because barbarians decided that they are not historical documents, that doesn't mean we have to change our standards and our culture and adjust into these insane barbaric ideologies that don't originate with the scriptures that are our part of our culture. You want us to see our culture from a barbaric lens. No, we're not gonna do that. Ask us how we see these texts. I had been to the head of the history department and I asked her, how can I do like a dissertation for the historical Jesus? And she said no, because he is a mythological person. That's what she said. And I didn't answer anything in her text. I emailed you instead. Her name was Alison something. I don't remember her surname. Alison something. They told me to ask her, and she said he is a mythological person. A barbarian can't tell me what is a mythological person or not. He is part of my culture. I wouldn't ever tell anybody Mulan is a mythological person. I think this is disgusting. I wouldn't tell anybody, is Confucius a historical person? Why are we discussing if people are historical people or not? What is this? Why are barbarians making assumptions for our culture and this is considered academic enough? That's insulting. That's absolutely offensive. It's appropriating my culture, and I'm not gonna caress it and say it's actually okay. No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's absolutely disgusting. It's barbarity. I can't say anything about that, anything else apart from var. Because this is what it is. If you find it weird that we say, is it a historical man? Yes, it is. There are many Hebrews that have converted to Christianity because they thought that the Christian Bible, as they say it, was mythology, and they saw the ancestry of Jesus in Matthew and Luke, and they said this is a historical document. And if you are like, why? Because for our understanding in our culture, this is history, it's not mythology. Get it? If you can't get it, leave it. You don't have to do it if you don't understand it. We don't have to conform to your insane barbaric expectations of our culture. That's what I'm saying. Because she says, I find the truth more interesting. What is the truth? It is a historical document and you're trying to find history outside of it. And this is, remind me, mythology? No, it's not. Ask anybody from my culture, Italian, Turkish, Jewish, anybody, even French people. Ask them Cypriot. they will think that it is historical manuscript, it's not mythology. Mythology is the Greek pagan stories, because this is what they are meant to be. Mythology. They are stories, symbolic, allegorical stories that you have to interpret. It's literature, it's not history, it's a different subject. We are not saying that it is something different. We say something of lesser importance. We don't say that. We say that it is exactly a completely different thing. It's like putting an alligator and a crocodile in the same box. And we say, no, this is a crocodile and this is an alligator. We don't say the alligator is better than the crocodile. We just say that the pagan stories are meant to be interpreted symbolically, and the stories of the Bible are meant to be taken literally, because it is history. It's not like mythology. Okay? That's it. And we have a British woman from Greek descent, saying, I find the truth more interesting. No, you don't find the truth more interesting. You are a liar, you are an antichrist, and shame on you. You are a disgrace for the entire Greece. Not me, you. Because what I say aligns with Greek spirit and Greek culture. What she says is full through and through British. And I question why the heck she has a PhD. Because what she says is irrelevant, out of subject, completely ignorant, and quite insulting as well. I have no idea how she can insult Greece day and night like that, when it is part of her culture as well. She doesn't flinch for the lies she is saying. Because yes, she is familiar obviously with that. She was born into a half British, half Greek family. Obviously she knows what I'm talking about. She just chooses to see it like that because she's a liar. Okay.
One of the world's most important books.
But I'm not a fundamentalist who takes every word of the Bible as fact.
I'm not a fundamentalist either, Francesca. I'm not. I'm just saying that it is history. You get what I mean? Just because I believe something, that doesn't mean I am a fundamentalist. Do you know what a fundamentalist is? And if I am, why is this a bad thing? Like, did I curse you? Did I tell you to go and fuck yourself for something? Like, you don't believe in Noah, go fuck yourself. Did I tell you like that? Didn't I tell you to go and like die or have bad health because you don't believe in what I say or what I believe? Did I do that? Like, am I harmful anywhere to you just because I believe in a book and that makes me a bad person in your eyes, fundamentalist? I'm not putting up with this bullshit. That's why I'm not doing apologetics. I'm not gonna go myself and involve myself into this bullshit.
It's much more interesting.
Would you please welcome Francesca Stavrakopoulou? I can't believe I stumbled on Francesca. What are the odds of that? So we're just gonna talk about the Bible,
Yeah.
and I want to learn more about it. First off, who wrote it and when?
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that Moses wrote it, which he didn't, because Moses didn't exist. So,
Okay. What's the basis for that? That he didn't exist? She's not just a popular scholar. No, she's not a popular scholar. She's a very acclaimed academically scholar. That's why I put it in my dissertation. She's very acclaimed. She has worked even in Oxford. I think she has worked in Exeter and Essex University. She's very well known. She's hosted in BBC. She's one of the great biblical scholars, and she says this crap. And welcome to Planet Earth, Ze. Welcome to Planet Earth. If you didn't know that there are people out there who say such crap about the Bible, I was trying to tell you, but you didn't want to listen, because I was trying to tell you that there is a person that says that my dad is that my dad is a psychopath, and you told me, don't you have another scholar to cite? You didn't listen what I said. All you cared was flirt like an idiot with me. If you wanted to flirt with me, you could let me do my job, finish my job, and then flirt with me. We didn't have to mix up our bullshit there. Your problem was if I want you as a boyfriend when I was talking about my fucking job. Are you okay? Like, can't you, like, when you are eating breakfast, are you putting chocolate inside your eggs? That's what you were doing. Finish the eggs and then go to eat chocolate. Anyways.
So then you have to think, well, who did write it? And it's basically a collection of different authors from centuries and centuries. So probably with the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament, you're talking about at least 500 years in the making. With the New Testament, you're talking about probably 150 to 200 years in the making.
No, nothing like that. She's lying. The New Testament is not 200 years old. It's not even 100 years old. It's less than a century old. The first epistles from Paul, that's the oldest manuscripts we have, and the Gospel of Mark is also the oldest we have. They are about, I would say, like 37 AD, I would say 37 AD to 90 AD, which is the revelation to John. We know that for sure. 90 AD is the revelation to John. All manuscripts of the New Testament are only 50, they span about 50 years, and they are all from the 1st century. The Apocrypha were written in the 2nd century, and as I said, Apocrypha. That's why they are not in the canon of the Bible. We knew that they are fabrications. We knew they are not part of the original disciples that wrote the epistles, and that's why they are not included in the Bible. So this is very misleading what she says, because yes, there are stories written in the next century, but they are the Apocrypha. They are not included in the canon. We knew as Greeks these are fan fictions, pretty much. And what she says about the Old Testament is pretty much ignorant and very much a lie. And I'm not ignorant. She knows her bullshit. She's just distorting her truth because she's a very bad person. She says that the Bible, the Hebrew Bible was written by many authors. Yeah, we knew that already. Moses has only written the first 5 books, and he had the knowledge to do so. If you are wondering how, he was the Prince of Egypt. Welcome to planet Earth. He had education, he could do that. The first 5 books, and the other books, depending what book we are talking about, compilation of authors, definitely. Isaiah wrote Isaiah, Jeremiah wrote Jeremiah, Ezekiel wrote Ezekiel, Song of Songs is written by Solomon, Psalms particularly by David and Solomon his son, and so on. And the prophets probably wrote their books, the majority, with some exceptions as far as I know. And the books of Kings, Samuel, Chronicles, these are by historians. As I said, historians. Okay? Thank you.
But basically, it was all written by men with daddy issues.
Okay.
So
The clowns laugh with the jester. Definitely. Obviously. The clowns laugh with the jester because the jester said something stupid. And they are stupid and they laugh with their stupidity. Daddy issues. Wow. Ze, scholarly enough, isn't it? Do you still have issues with me cursing here and there? Because this is very scholarly enough. Writing down, they had daddy issues. Yeah. I'm not gonna comment anything. She is ridiculing herself. I'm not gonna put myself in the same category, okay? I'm not. I'm letting her speak herself. She is exposing who she is, Aris of Velarde. I'm not doing that myself. She has all the power in her hands to expose her bullshit by herself. She doesn't need my help.
there are people right
From centuries and centuries. So probably with the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament, you're talking about at least 500 years in the making. With the New Testament, you're talking about probably 150 to 200 years in the making. But basically, it was all written by men with daddy issues.
So here's the thing. There are people right now writing complaint letters just on the first answer to the first question. Right, so I'm wondering, why is taking a historical approach to the Bible so controversial?
Ready for an autumn style challenge? I'm going to create 4 looks using the same base outfit and piece.
So controversial.
It's controversial because when you do take a historical approach, so look at the archaeological evidence for events or people described in the Bible, it's very hard to find corroborating evidence to support the biblical claims about the past.
So, Francesca, bestie, what archaeological evidence are you trying to find for the parting of the Red Sea or for the killing of the firstborns of Egypt? What exactly? Like bones, like some clues that the Bikini Bottom at some point emerged from the bottom of the ocean to the sand, to the beach, because the Red Sea parted itself. Like, this is what you are trying to find. Like, if Squidward was struggling for breaths, what exactly are you looking for evidence when you're speaking about the Red Sea or like the firstborn of Egypt? Like bones again, okay? You want to identify the corpses. Okay. If we spoke about, my father is laughing through and through. I'm not gonna speak about that. Like, I'm hearing him and he's laughing. Anyways, Francesca, I know your bullshit very well. If we were speaking about Richard III and I spoke and I said he killed his nephews, you would pull a bullshit to my face and say that Henry VII said that Richard is the killer of his nephews because, quote, history is written by survivors. Isn't this the crap that you scholars usually say in your circles, in your cults, when you speak about that story? That history is written by survivors? Okay, yeah, exactly. You get what I mean? So, because Egypt is a very well known, how can I say it? Like a country, empire, kingdom, that's the word. Obviously, the pharaohs weren't gonna write down that something like that happened because history is written by survivors. Do you think that, let's say Ramses is the pharaoh that this happened under his reign, he would go and say to his advisors, go and write down immediately that we lost by the Hebrew God or our firstborns, so that Francesca 7,000 years later will find the proof and she will know that this is a historical how is your brain working actually? Can you explain to me a little bit? Like, who exactly, what kind of pharaoh, like Cleopatra, what type of pharaoh would actually go and say, write that down, please, yes, we were attacked 10 plagues by Yahweh, write that down. She has to find the evidence outside of the Hebrew scripture. What a performance you are giving. All of you, jesters, clowns, you are circusy. Absolutely circusy behavior. You have double standards for everything because you are hypocrites, you are greedy, you are looking only for money, you are not looking for truth, you are liars, you are pathological liars, you are false prophets, you are the biblical antichrist 666 and you should go and fuck yourselves. I can't believe that I'm witnessing that and my ex thought that I'm not scholarly enough just because I am not speaking about that type of crap. I can't believe him. I honestly can't believe him. Like, I have to refute feministic critiques. I try to refute a woman, a feministic critic, Greek, from my culture that says that my prophets had daddy issues. Do you find me scholarly enough now that I'm doing this discussion that my prophets had daddy issues? Do you find it better what I'm doing now from what I was doing with my own voice, with my mystical voice, my mystical knowledge in my dissertation? Shame on you.
So once you start saying, did this actually happen or not? So was Jonah swallowed by a big fish? Obviously, no, he wasn't swallowed by a big fish. Was there an exodus from Egypt? No, there wasn't an exodus.
Okay. Sorry, I'm eating chocolate. I will finish eating it. I'm not gonna eat much. I'm gonna put it in the drawer. I'm letting her say her bullshit. I will comment after I eat. Okay. I'm just putting her a little bit behind. Okay.
First question. Right, so I'm wondering, why is taking a historical approach to the Bible so controversial?
It's controversial because when you do take a historical approach, so look at the archaeological evidence for events or people described in the Bible, it's very hard to find corroborating evidence to support the biblical claims about the past. So once you start saying, did this actually happen or not? So was Jonah swallowed by a big fish? Obviously, no, he wasn't swallowed by a big fish. Was there an exodus from Egypt? No, there wasn't an exodus. So once you start doing that, then you have to start doubting the credibility of all the other claims that the Bible makes. And that's why people get annoyed, because for some reason, people like to think that the Bible's true.
Right. So people like Peeps like to think that
They
the Bible
really
is
like,
true.
yeah.
They really. We'll get back. One of the first things you said was Moses wasn't real.
Yeah.
Right. Now we've just had Pesach, the celebration.
Francesca, don't you need a license from the government to be so stupid? Like, do you seriously believe that people for centuries believe that Jonah was swallowed by a whale because they are stupid? And you are the clever one to dismantle this? Obviously not. Were you present when this happened? Like you say, obviously not. To know that Jonah wasn't swallowed by a whale, for sure. I don't say if he got out of the whale or if he was eaten alive by the whale. That's irrelevant. I'm just asking if he was fundamentally swallowed by a whale. He traveled in the sea, something happened, and he got swallowed by the whale, and somebody recorded it down. Okay, only that. So, were you present at that time when the story was recorded to know for sure that this happened? Or not? The only way to say obviously not, and you are so adamant that this is actually true, that it didn't happen and it is fabrication, you had to be present, because there are people who say in the Bible it says yes, this happened to Jonah. Okay, yeah. So if Jonah says this happened to me and you say no it didn't, so that means you were present in the boat and you saw that Jonah didn't get swallowed by anybody and he's lying. Bestie, you were born in the 1980s. The story was written at least 3,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago. Okay. In order to know that it is not true, that means you contacted somebody. You get what I mean? Zeus. You are speaking with a spirit. Only a spirit can tell you this is not the case. Because only a spirit, somebody from the immortal world, can tell you, no, this is not the case with such certainty. You're not saying, I think this didn't happen. You can assume anything. But you are so certain, 100% sure that this hasn't happened and the Exodus never happened. You are saying that an entire nation, the Jewish, they are delusional, believing that they had God saving them from a country of oppression. You say the whole Jewish people, this is anti-Semitic to the bone, by the way, the whole nation of Israel is deluded to believe that they were slaves and they were saved from slavery. In order to make such claims with such boldness, that means you have contacted a spirit. Francesca, are you speaking with Zeus? Are you speaking with Baal? Because from what you say, as a mystic, I can confirm you are talking with him. You wouldn't say these things if you were not talking to him. Yes, I'm making this claim because I know, as a mystic, for all of you that hear me, she is talking with the devil to say these things. And when I say with the devil, I'm not saying she's talking with the guy with the trident. I'm saying that she's talking with Zeus. I'm saying she's a mystic, and the claims she says, just because they align perfectly with the Antichrist in the end times, that proves that she's actually a mystic. She is doing like a pagan shit, and that's why she says all that crap. And for those of you who wonder, only there is where you are basing all your claims. No, I hear the voice, I recognize the speech, I was a mystic, I was talking with the devil, I know how the devil talks because I was talking with Zeus. Okay, Zeus is the devil, and I can tell you that she's talking with him. That's why she says this crap. If she didn't, she wouldn't speak like that. And I would make a different discussion if she wasn't speaking like that and she was not a mystic. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Okay.
Celebration of freedom of the Jews.
Yeah.
We'll get back. One of the first things you said was Moses wasn't real.
Yeah.
Right. Now we've just had Pesach, the celebration of freedom of the Jews,
Yeah.
led by Moses to freedom.
Yeah.
And you're saying he wasn't real.
No, he probably wasn't. So there's a lot about him that's really interesting. So in his tradition, the traditions that are told about him, so Moses is an Egyptian name. The Hebrew Bible writers kind of say this name is derived from a Hebrew verb, meaning to draw out of the water. So when he was a baby and kind of set into the basket of reeds. But actually,
So far, story checks out.
so far it checks out, except that Moses himself, there's no evidence for him being a historical figure like Abraham, Isaac.
Just because how do you, can you see, I don't know how to speak, I seriously don't know how to speak because I heard Zeus from her mouth and I don't know how to position myself and not speak mystically as well because I'm trying to explain to non-mystics why she's a mystic. When you say there is no evidence that he existed, evidence like what? A different source saying what? Pharaoh writing the Ramses saying, look, I had a guy, he told me to let the Hebrews go, I didn't, his God sent me 10 plagues, I got defeated, I lost my son, then my army got drowned in the Red Sea. Write all that down, write it, write all that down. Does that make any sense? Like, am I the only person who says that doesn't make any sense, and the fact that you are making us question our reality just proves that you want us to believe that we live in a matrix, and you have opened your fucking third eye, and you want us to go and talk with Zeus. Francesca, that's what you are doing. You are a fucking mystic. Don't you think that somebody won't notice what you are doing? Because I notice what you are doing. That's why you say you live in a matrix, go out and speak with Zeus. Shame on you. Go fuck yourself with what you're doing. You are using the devil to speak about my father. You are abusing the scriptures and you are deluding people and you are deceiving people. Shame on you for that. Shame on you. I wish somebody sees through you and then you lose your degrees for what you are doing. Because you are abusing theology, a very delicate job, to say crap and take money, and you are using the devil, and I wish one day you lose your job for that. Because what you do is completely unethical. You are, I don't know what to say here. Like, that's what she's doing. Because she says there is no evidence, bones. If you had bones, you would prove that Abraham is this guy, these bones there. How? Do you have any known descendants of Abraham, direct descendants, that you can link with this bone? And if you say all Israel are Abraham's descendants, okay then, take any bone from Israel, Anne Frank, and compare them with Netanyahu. They have a connection because they are Israeli. Does that prove you anything? Francesca, you are a liar. You are a fucking liar. That's what I'm saying. And this is how I refute the feministic scholars, by calling them a liar and a mystic, because this is what they are.
Jacob, all of that. It's all made up. But he's drawn on different sorts of religious figures that probably were around very broadly in the culture. So he's like a bit of a magician. So, you know, he's like, woo, look at this star.
Yeah, we all like a good magician, but some people want to believe it's more than that.
Okay, so she's calling a prophet a magician, so I am the one that is imagining things here. She's calling a prophet a witch, a wizard. Okay. Nothing.
No, like when you say none of that was real, it was all made up. How do you know?
Because dating the texts, you can see in terms of the Hebrew words that are used, in terms of some of the details, like references to camels. There were no camels in that part of the world at that time. That kind of.
So you say that you know that there were no camels at that part of the world at that time. How do you know, Francesca? You were born in the 1980s. Were you present when the text, even if it is fabricated, even if it is forced, even if this is a ghostwriter that wrote it and no Moses, were you present when it was written? No. So you are lying. And you are using Zeus to lie. You are not speaking on your own, you are speaking on behalf of a spirit, right? Okay. Just admit it, because it's crazy. Admit that you have somebody to back you up. Don't go out and say this is a magician, this is doesn't exist and stuff. Just say I'm speaking on behalf of Zeus. I am a mystic, I am a pagan. That's why I say what I say. That's why I promote an agenda that the biblical God is actually a pagan God. Because it benefits my God. Just say it. Because you continue saying there were no camels there, and because you have a PhD, you hide behind your PhD, as I was hiding for 2 years behind my theological degree, and I was saying that because I am a theologian, that's why I'm doing the Harry Potter videos and so on, and I wasn't using my mystical voice for that, and I was saying I want people to know my truth, the truth of my God, but I want them to know it themselves. I don't want to put my identity as a mystic on the front. And now that I'm doing that, I'm just saying you are hiding behind your PhD and you say, I know, I read the manuscript, I know Hebrew, I have a PhD, there were no camels, and nobody is gonna question your bullshit because you are hiding behind your degree and you say bullshit because you have authority. I try to dismantle your authority. You are speaking from a spirit because you are certain and you say, I'm sure there were no camels back then. How do you know? The Hebrews in that era said we had camels. So who wrote the book and why did they say that there were camels? Bestie? Fucking liar. She's lying.
Kind of stuff.
You lied to me, Cecil B. DeMille.
But yeah, that kind
Sodom
of
and
detail
Gomorrah.
tells you that these texts were written many centuries after the events that they're describing.
Okay.
And then you can see the ideology. Well, why are they telling the story about escape from slavery and oppression and movement into a promised land? It's because
Francesca, answer me this question. Why should people from nowhere say, after centuries that they say that they were written? So we speak again about the idiot from the other video with Noah Zark who said the prophecies are written centuries after the events that they have been said and done. So the Hebrews decided 500 years after a supposed event that never existed to say, look, this event happened. The reason we say this is because we were slaves, and we weren't slaves. We will say we were slaves and we were oppressed by the Egyptians. The agenda, what is the reason behind that? Why do that? What is the reasoning behind doing such a thing to start with? That's what I want you to tell me. What is the reason? What is the purpose of lying? Money, fame. Can you explain to me for a moment? Because you are saying bold claims, but you are not explaining how this works. Like, for example, I explain, my God used to be Zeus because he is the number 3. I did this book says that, Saramago said this, and this connects with that. I'm giving explanations. You are making bold statements, and you are not explaining because you are hiding, mystically hiding behind your degree, because you are a mystic and you are lying in the name of your daddy, the devil. That's what you are doing, bestie.
Themselves were in their own kind of slavery and oppression, but in Babylon in the 6th century BCE, not in Egypt hundreds and hundreds of years before that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It makes perfect sense. But you love the Bible.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
Like
If she loves the Bible, I don't know. I know a guy with a mustache from Austria that also loves the Bible and its people, and so does she. I hope this explains something.
If you like go, well, that's not real, he's not a guy.
Yeah.
Why do you love it so much?
Because it's like the most amazing collection of ancient literature. It's like
You think that the devil is gonna come to you with horns and red skin and a trident? It's actually a woman, middle-aged woman in a university chair with a PhD, saying she loves the Bible when she's destroying years of civilization and culture, and the stories of a good, kind God that is a real person you can contact anytime, like I do, and talk to him like I do. I never said this is only my inheritance. I say that what I'm doing with my God, you can do it, and you can achieve it by learning how he actually is, because they have, people like her have destroyed his image. And I am not a cult leader. I say do what I am doing to find him, pretty much. And she is lying because she's a liar, and she says that Like, she loves the Bible and you're gonna buy her bullshit, even though it is contradictory. She's destroying the Bible and she says she loves it. I don't know. Killing me softly, I suppose. Lana Del Rey. He hit me and it felt like a kiss. That's what she's doing. She says, like, I love it, but I hate it at the same time. Like, I can't.
Reading, it's like going into a time capsule. It's like time travelling, and you get to read all about these different sorts of myths and legends. Like, you know, one of the most important myths in the Old Testament, Hebrew Bible, is the idea that God had to fight a massive sea dragon to create the world. Now, you don't get that in Genesis. You get...
What? That's not even in the Bible. What?
You know, one of the most important myths in the Old Testament, Hebrew Bible, is the idea that God had to fight a massive sea dragon to create the world. Now, you don't get that in Genesis. You get hints of it in Genesis, but you do get it.
Hang on, what are the hints?
The hints.
What? No, like, I'm just curious. Like, it's like, Ixnay on the Agandre. Like, what was it? Like, what's...
So one of the hints is on the such...
Did you hear what she said? She said that there is a myth that God had to fight an ancient dragon. What did she say? That I don't even have to say that she's a mystic at this point. She's exposing herself that she's a mystic. Okay.
God had to fight a massive sea dragon to
Yeah.
create the world. Now, you don't get that.
Yeah. So that story that she says is actually from the Theogony, where it says that Zeus had to fight with his father, that's the sea dragon, Saturn, to create the world. Because Saturn was eating his children, Cronus, he was eating his children, and Zeus fought with him. He was the only deity that fought with his father. Like, Cronus fought also with Uranus, but not in the same essence. He fought like he just took the throne. We don't have like a Titan war like we have with Zeus, okay? So what Zeus did is extraordinary in terms of like a deityhood, like divine, like aspects pretty much in the Theogony. I was planning to speak about the Theogony on my channel, but what Zeus did in terms of like fighting his father, he rebelled against the old world, pretty much the old version of the world, and he took all the the reign of the order of the cosmos, of how the world was governed until then, and he took it and he started reigning himself. So that's extraordinary in terms of mythology. That wasn't there isn't an event before that like that. It's unprecedented in Greek myth, and that's why everybody in Greek myth is expected, and in Greek paganism is expected to love Zeus, because he's more like democratical in terms of how he took power than Cronus and Uranus. Uranus took power from Chaos, Cronus took power from his father Uranus took his power from his father Chaos, and so on. Zeus took his power by fighting, doing rebellion against his father, and his father was a tyrannical god, and so on. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, if you read the Titan War, it's justifiable what he did. He had a very difficult upbringing. I'm just telling you now the myth, okay? So he had a very difficult upbringing. He was a fighter. He was very poor. You can sympathize with him, and I believe that the story somehow used to be my dad's. Obviously, it used to be my dad's, but about this story, I say it because my father is putting people you can actually relate in a very tender manner, and you can actually relate like that with Zeus when you read the story, that he was raised by shepherds. He was the rightful heir. He cared about his siblings and he tried to save them, and so on. She says here that Yahweh had to fight with a great dragon. The dragon, obviously enough, it's an imaginary for the devil, and she says a Gnostic version, that's Gnosticism. You can find Gnostic text, though I don't advise you to do so. If you read Gnostic texts, they say that there was a demiurge. You refer to this in your title of your dissertation, Zé. It's the, you said co-creation, demiurge. Demiurge is δημιουργός, it's the same word, it's creator, co-creation. It means that Yahweh, this is what the Gnostics believe, Yahweh made the world with El, aka that Sophia, Hagia Sophia, and Yahweh made the world together. So there are corrupted stuff that Yahweh made and good stuff that the God, like Zeus, created. So both of them created. That's part from Gnosticism, and what she says is deeply magical, it's deeply mystical. She should know this story. The fact that she knows such a deep story is not because she has knowledge, it's because she's a mystic. That's what I'm saying. And she says, did you know that? And this story is not found in the Bible. She's trying to justify it, obviously, because she's knowledgeable, because she has a PhD. She has the charisma and the demanded knowledge to do so. Like, she's not like illiterate, so she can't do that. She has the needed knowledge to do so, and thank God I have the needed knowledge to dismantle all this crap. And she's using Gnosticism to say that my dad is actually the god of Gnosticism, pretty much, the demiurge Yahweh, and the creator god who is Zeus in Gnosticism. It's Hagia Sophia.
In Genesis, you get hints of it in Genesis, but you do get it.
Hang on, what are the hints?
The hints.
What? No, like I'm just curious. Like it's like Ixnay on the Agon tray. Like what was it? Like what's?
So one of the hints is on the such and such a day when God was making the world, He made the great sea monsters. And the word that they don't actually do that in the Bible, but the word that they use is the ancient word for this. It's Tanin, which is this ancient, mythical, watery, ferocious chaos monster, like a sea dragon. But then we read all about his actual battle with the sea dragon in the book of Isaiah and in the book of Job and in the Psalms. So it's all there.
She's twisting all the scripture to her understanding. Beasts inside the water. She's using Greek pagan mysticism, pretty much. She's using philosophy to dismantle the Bible, and she's twisting Isaiah, Psalms, all of that, just because they speak about dragons. Yes, this is how my father is speaking, but you're using that to say that my dad is actually a pagan deity. And do you hear what she says? She's not saying that Yahweh doesn't exist. She says Moses didn't exist, so she's putting Moses outside of the frame because she doesn't like the Mosaic law, because according to the Mosaic law, Francesca should be stoned because she's promoting pagan ideas. She's a false prophet. She doesn't say that Yahweh is not a real person. She says that Yahweh is actually Zeus. That's what she says. And that makes her a false prophet.
It's just that everyone kind of privileges the beginning of the book because most people get bored by the time they get to like Leviticus and they don't bother reading.
Okay. Francesca, you get bored when you read Leviticus. As I said one moment ago, you are trying to dismantle Moses because Moses exposes the crap out of you, that you are a false prophetess, you are a Jezebel, and you should be stoned for that if you were under his, like, like his guardians, let's put it like that. What can I do here? I don't wanna move, I wanna kill it. I wanna kill it like the dragon from Isaiah. If you were under a nation with the Mosaic law, Francesca, you should be stoned to death for saying false prophecies. You say that Moses didn't exist, that Leviticus is a boring book because this book exposes the crap out of you, because Moses working against people like yourself, mystics. You get what I mean? That's why I said just 1 minute earlier that this woman is a liar, and she's saying Moses doesn't exist. She's putting Moses outside of the frame so she can say freely that Yahweh is a pagan deity, because if she doesn't remove Moses, she can't say the bullshit she says. And that's why she says, if you read Leviticus, that's a boring book. No, I actually love Leviticus very much. I think it's an amazing book. I love Deuteronomy very much. I wonder why Yahweh had to sacrifice himself on the cross when we had such an amazing law where people like you wouldn't exist, because we would have taken them out of our cities as abominations in his name. And I don't understand why he did that. No, I find them amazing books. I love to read them. I don't understand why you say that, but I understand that you have an agenda with Jews because you are a mystic. That's what I'm saying.
Just so much admin in Leviticus.
I know,
It's like, this is what you do with mildew.
Yeah,
Put
yeah.
it in a drawer, see
Yeah.
if it grows. Call the rabbi, burn your house down. Like,
But detail's
Sodom
important
and
in that kind of
Gomorrah.
thing, but, particularly
well,
with
mildew it still plagues us today. So I've been to Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem, and it's amazing when the places mentioned in the Bible are in front of you. Like, I stood in the Garden
Yeah.
of Gethsemane, and the fact that these are real places starts to make you feel like this is more true. Why does it become more compelling? Because it's in a place that exists.
Whether you're, an atheist like me or you're religious like other people, the Bible has played such a massive role in our lives, right from when we're kids, that somehow to be in these places, I think you can't.
She is an atheist. She is loving the Bible. Bullshit. She's a mystic. Was all I'm gonna say is she's a mystic, and she's gonna pull all type of crap she can when she's actually a mystic. That's all I'm gonna say.
That help. Just feel engaged and excited and curious, and to go somewhere like Jerusalem, where obviously the Bible still matters, because as we know, Jerusalem is still the kind of the heart, the kind of the central place for Judaism, Christianity, and obviously Islam as well. And we know the political tensions, we see it on the news all the time. You can't but help feel impacted by that.
Now, you've already pointed out a few things that weren't real in the Bible.
Yeah.
What was real? Like, I believe the Garden of Eden, you believe, was a real place.
Well, I believe it's based on a real place. It's based on the Jerusalem temple that was supposedly built by Solomon and was destroyed, and we think probably historically it was destroyed by the Babylonians in the 6th century BCE. And the temple itself is meant to be like the dwelling place of the god. And like humans, God wants a nice house and he wants a nice garden. And it's the meeting place between the heavenly realm and the earthly realm. And so it was filled with trees, and it was a very sensory experience going into the temple. There were nice smells of incense, and that's what the story of Eden is based on. The idea is that human beings, or a king in this case, was in a very privileged position like that with God. He messes up, he gets expelled from the garden, so he's like thrown out of the temple, and that's when the temple historically is destroyed.
Did you pay a ghostwriter to take your PhD, Francesca? What are you talking about? Like, what you say is like I'm hearing a British woman speaking about my culture pretty much, and it's crazy. It's crazy because it's not even my culture. Like, what you say, it's pretty much Hebrew culture. It's not my culture, but still, I hear you speaking about my culture when you are British, and these people are Hebrews. You get what I mean? It's crazy. Who gave you your PhD? What a nice of velade.
And the kings of Israel no longer exist.
So, if you were editing the Bible, what would you take out? Is there anything that you'd
New
remove?
Testament? No.
That's pretty controversial. Surely not all
Okay.
of them. If you were editing the Bible, what would you take out? Is there anything that you'd
New
remove?
Testament? No.
That's pretty controversial. Surely not all of the New Testament.
Okay. Paul. Anything written by St. Paul?
Just all of Paul.
Yes.
That's like taking Paul out of the Bible.
Yeah, you know why? Because Paul is the witness, the second witness of the beast, of the Antichrist, and you are an Antichrist, and obviously you would like to take him off, Francesca, because he is exposing that you are a Jezebel. That's why you don't like Paul, and you would like his epistles to be removed, and you would like the books of Moses to be removed, and you say he doesn't exist because he's the first witness, Paul is the second witness, they expose you, they say that you are a Jezebel, that you are a false prophetess, and you don't like that because they expose the crap out of you, bestie. That's why, you get what I mean.
He was pretty important. All of the New Testament.
Okay. Paul. Anything written by St. Paul?
Just all of Paul.
Yes.
That's like taking Paul out of the Beatles. He was pretty important. No, because
Yeah, but
because
does it
no,
really
Paul wrote a huge amount of the New Testament. He
Yeah.
was by and large the founder of the church.
He is the founder of
So
Christianity.
what?
No, he's not the founder of Christianity, Francesca. He's not. But I'm not gonna explain because you're a liar.
What have you got against
He
Paul?
goes on and on and on.
It is a bit like he took everything he wrote. Like, I wrote some letters to the Corinthians. I'll put that in.
Yeah.
Did the Corinthians ever write back?
We don't know if they did. Maybe. But he's so down on humanity. He's just really kind of like, oh, you humans, you're so bad, you're so sinful. And it's like, oh, come on. We're not that bad. The Hebrew Bible, everyone thinks...
Francesca, trust me, Paul was very, very mild about shitheads like you. If you think he's harsh with you, for people like you, come on, we are not that bad. If you think that he was a bad guy, trust me, you're gonna bleed the crowd out of yourself with me, because I am his successor spiritually. And if you think that he's a bad guy, I am even worse than him. He was very tolerant in terms of like personality, in contrast with me. He was a Jewish, I am not, I am a Greek. Bestie, you are not just bad, you are the definition of evil. Trust me.
God of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, is the kind of like vengeful, hateful, angry one who's like kicking arse all the time.
Francesca, did you miss for a moment your own deity, Zeus? Because he is the vengeful, wrathful God. Did you mistake for a moment in your scholarly enough head the Iliad, the Theogony, and Odyssey, and probably the Republic as well? I don't know what you have read, because you don't seem a very good mystic. To be very honest with you, I have seen better mystics than you. I think my teacher Andrew Huss was better than you, and that tells you something, Francesca, because my teacher Andrew Huss was one of the worst mystics I have ever read, and you are making a worse mystic than him. That's an achievement. You should take an award for bad mysticism at this point, and you are even a Greek. Just saying here. I'm starting to think that you are mistaking my God with Zeus, because he's not a vengeful deity, Zeus is. Did you mistake the Iliad that you were reading with your coffee and your British tea yesterday, when you woke up and you decided to crap in the television about my God? Or what is your issue? I'm trying to solve it here as a Greek girl with another.
Time, and that the God of the New Testament is kind of like, oh, I love you, but it's not like that at all. The God of the New Testament, he's gone. He's like not interested at all in humanity. Like he's not really present in the New Testament.
Francesca, do you say that because playing the victim card that Zeus is the father of Jesus, and Jesus is Dionysus, the card that you all mystics played these recent years, is the most helpful for you and your agenda and your God? Is this why you do this, bestie? Because what you say aligns perfectly with that the Yahweh is a monster, and Jesus is a very good God, but his father is absent, Cronus is absent because Zeus won him in the Titan War, and Zeus is the father deity, and you don't have any connection with his daddy, your grandfather Cronus anymore, Saturn. And the father of Jesus, who is a philosopher, is the daddy Zeus, right? Is this the story that you are telling us from the television, darling? I think so. That's why I ask you.
It's all about Jesus.
Because that's the thing, like early on in the
Yeah,
Bible,
it's all
God
about
rocks
Jesus,
up.
Francesca. It's all about Jesus, because Jesus is Yahweh. If you have to tell us that Cronus is the father of Jesus, or that Zeus is the father of Jesus, because Jesus is actually Dionysus and his father is Zeus, do tell us, because at this point you have explained very well and very efficiently that you are a mystic, and what you say comes from the pagan world anyways.
Literally there, and he goes, "Hey, Abraham,
Yeah.
do this. Moses, here's some 10 Commandments.
Exactly.
They'll be useful."
Yeah.
And but he's talking directly to people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it becomes people saying, "Oh, you just missed him. God was here,
Yeah.
and he said this."
But
And then by
left-
the end of it, it's like, I know a guy who spoke to a dude who saw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Paul started off as a Jew, like Jesus.
Francesca, aren't you doing exactly the same? So you have a problem with my people who speak like that. I knew somebody who knew something, who knew something, who knew something, and so on. So you have an issue with that type of speech. When you say, I know that Jonah wasn't swallowed by a whale because I have a PhD, isn't this the same thing? I know, isn't this like the trust me bro that you try to expose in the New Testament? Isn't exactly the same trust me bro that you are doing with Jonah and if Moses existed and so on? Bestie.
Jesus was a Jew. I think he'd be spinning in his grave if he knew what's really going on in his name now. He was a Jew. He was a very passionate Jewish man, like John the Baptist.
He was a very passionate Jewish man, Francesca, that was sentenced to death for apostasy, however. Like, Jesus wasn't like just a passionate philosopher as you try to position him because that fits your narrative. He was actually a guy that was sentenced to death by the Pharisees because he was speaking and saying that he's a king and he's a deity in his own manner and he was doing miracles, and he died because they said that he was an apostate of Yahweh. Why are you saying that he was such a like a random dude, a very good dude that he would spin in his grave, and you say that he's dead? Obviously you say he's dead. When you know what the Old Testament says there, and you know from the historical sources of the Roman Empire, there are many people in the Roman Empire, historical people, as you say, that are not part of the Bible, outside scriptures, outside sources and documents, that speak about a guy named Jesus who was killed for apostasy, for like the Caesar or God, doesn't matter for which, but for rebellion, pretty much, whatever, even it was spiritual rebellion or political rebellion, it was still a rebellion. And you portray him as a good, kind-hearted philosopher that everybody would like to befriend. Do you try to portray Jesus as Dionysus, the son of Zeus, bestie? Because it seems like.
Probably sort of Jesus' initial teacher, and like Jesus kind of then used this breakaway movement. It's kind of like, some pop group, like the Beatles, like kind of splitting up, and like John going off with Yoko. It's problematic.
I'm sorry, that is the most controversial thing I've ever heard.
She's not controversial, she's stupid. I'm just clarifying.
One say in my life is that the career of Jesus is like John teaming up with Yoko. That is
Zed, do you seriously think I was speaking like that? If you did, shame on you, I have nothing else to say. I can't believe that. Because I'm not speaking like that, I'm not that type of person.
But here's the thing, okay, like, you're an atheist,
Yeah.
but you're passionate about the Bible.
Yeah.
But you can understand that people could be quite angry at all of the things that you're saying.
Oops.
Right now.
People are always angry with me because I'm an atheist, because I'm a woman, because I'm a professor.
No, we are not angry because you are a woman, because you are a professor, and because you are an atheist. We are angry because you are rude, because you are disrespectful, because you are a liar, and because you are insulting. You can say whatever the fuck you wanna say. The fact that you are a woman doesn't change the fact I am a woman. Doesn't change the fact that you are very disrespectful and rude, that you are abusing your chair to say bullshit, that you know that what you say is unbased anywhere. You're not providing any source apart from the fact that you are speaking. You are trust me bro through and through in what you say, and you seriously want me to debunk this type of thing? That's not a person. That's a type of thing that I can't say anything like that. That's not a woman. That's a disgrace of a woman. Women are not like that. Women are women. I am a woman. I don't know how to say it. Women have virtues. She doesn't have any virtues. She is the microphone of Zeus, nothing else. She doesn't respect these people. She doesn't respect the cultures. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say. You can be respectful. You can be civil. You can be polite. You can be very kind. You can show love. kindness. Even if you disagree completely with the other side, you can still have compassion. She doesn't exhibit this. Don't expect me to treat you kindly when you are treating me with a sword. If you are attacking with a sword, bestie, you will receive a sword. Trust me.
Harder in your line of work, being an atheist or a woman?
I think being a woman is still harder than being an atheist. Because I'm an atheist, because people can't say to me, because most people in my field, most academics are Christian or Jewish, so I say to them, I haven't got the same emotional investment in these texts as you do, but nonetheless, I still think these texts are really important. They are the absolute bedrock of Western cultural preferences and values. So it's important, it's responsible, I think, to critique those ideas and say where they come from and how kind of representative should this be, how important should these texts be. The Bible is a cultural icon, whether we like it or not, whether we believe in it or not. So that's why it's important to study it. But I think I've got one up on most other scholars because I'm not invested in it. It's not going to. I mean, my soul's not going to hell or to heaven because I don't believe in a soul and I don't believe in hell and I don't believe in.
Yeah, you don't believe in hell and you don't believe in paradise and you don't believe in soul because you are a mystic, Francesca. That's why you don't. Heaven and hell is not something that a mystic usually believes. It's a primitive pagan belief, and usually mystics believe that they go back as ideas, not as souls. We don't believe we have souls, we believe we are ideas in the head of Zeus, and we return to him after death. So obviously you don't believe in heaven and hell, Francesca. Obviously you don't. You get what I mean, bestie? That's why.
That you might hurt people by saying what you think is the factual truth about the Bible?
No, because I don't think, I'm not like some kind of Richard Dawkins figure, who's obviously the
Yes, Richard Dawkins is a very respectful person. He has honest questions about the Bible. Yes, he can be rude as well. So I had actually a problem. My camera closed. Finally, I saw it. So I had stopped and I was saying that Richard Dawkins is a respectful boomer. I don't always agree with what he says. He can be disrespectful as well, but he's a boomer with honest questions about the Bible that nobody has answered him properly and nobody has explained. He's not a mystic. He is a boomer, and boomers are known to be a little bit more like severe in their reactions, but he has contributed in the field of science. He is a guy of his age that has valid questions about cancer, why people suffer from diseases and so on. He has helped with health issues. That's his field. He's a scientist. Okay, so no, you are not like Richard Dawkins, bestie. Richard Dawkins is a decent boomer. You are a disgusting millennial. That's all. You get what I mean?
Famous atheist in the world, probably. Like he's
the John Lennon of atheism. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But he's rude to people. He's unkind to people, I think.
Seriously, Francesca, you think Richard Dawkins is rude to people? Is it because, bestie, because your God is a disgusting piece of shit, you don't like Richard Dawkins because he's a grandpa? Maybe. And you don't understand that people on that age, yes, they appear harsh, but they have also experienced war, probably war, very bad, quality of life, you know, like poor, hunger, all that jazz. I don't know how to explain it. I'm a little bit tired and I can't even think in English. Do you think of that for some moments? Like, he's a guy very, very older, and probably he will be bitter because years have made him be bitter. And that's not because he's rude. No, he's not rude, Francesca. You are rude. You get what I mean?
He tells people that they're stupid. I don't think that people that have faith or belief are stupid at all.
No, but that's what you tell us, that we are stupid. He hasn't ever told anybody that they are stupid. I haven't read anything in his books like that. And if he is speaking harshly, it's because he's a boomer and people from that generation are a little bit harsh, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. He has done more in the field of science than you have ever done in theology, bestie.
Their choice, and I recognise that there are lots of different ways of being in the world.
Seriously.
So at the same time, so
I like the double standards that this woman has. They are crazy. This double standard. I'm not gonna play more because I'm losing all the time. I will play tomorrow. I'm just finishing the video.
People, I think, and he tells people that they're stupid. I don't think that people that have faith
Okay,
or belief
okay,
are stupid
whatever.
at all. That's their choice, and I recognise that there are lots of different ways of being in the world.
Okay.
So at the same time, so I try and be polite to people. I'll say what I think. I'll say, yeah, well, I don't think Moses existed. Other scholars would disagree with me.
Okay.
Other scholars
And
would
you,
agree with me.
Francesca, seriously, you think you are polite? Seriously, now that you think you are polite, what else am I gonna hear about this world, bestie? If you think you are polite, I'm resigning. I'm not gonna continue preaching anything. If you think you are polite, if you think what you said, like if you watch this video, it's 9 years old. If you watch the video and you think I was very polite and kind and I'm spreading love and kindness in this video, okay, bestie, okay. I'm not gonna say anything else.
But I don't want to be rude about it, so I respect
Seriously.
other people.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I'm a human
Okay.
being and I like people.
Francesca, are you delulu or you seriously believe what you say? Like, explain to me a little bit.
You believe what you want to believe. That's completely fine. But
Okay.
your Bible belongs to me as well.
Seriously, it belongs to you, Francesca. How? From Britain, like colonial Britain? How does the Bible belongs to you, bestie? Are you Israeli? How? You are British. You are you are half Greek. You are half barbarian. Nothing belongs to you, bestie. Learn post-colonial feministic theory, please. Trust me. You will see results. My Bible belongs to you as well. How? In what sense?
No,
In
it
what sense?
belongs to all of us. It's like had this huge impact globally.
Okay.
So it's not just your text, it's mine as well.
Okay.
So I've got every right to study it.
Francesca, does India as well belong to you? Does China also belong to you? Does, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, the Parthenon, the statues of the Parthenon that are stolen from Greece, what else does it belong to you, bestie? Colonizer, white European woman? Tell me a little bit about it.
Shaped the world
Yeah.
more than any other books
Yeah.
have ever done. How do you think we're using them wrong?
Ready for an
Fuck
autumn
you with
style
your
challenge?
advertisements all the
Best
time.
create 4 looks using the same base outfit and people
Them wrong.
Well, our gender politics, for a start, is completely biblically based. The idea that there are just two genders, that they are made by God and in the image of God, that idea has massively damaged the environment.
Yeah, exactly. And that idea is not biblical, it's pagan. What you say, you quote the Bible. I said yesterday people quote the Bible on behalf of Zeus to say his bullshit. That's not biblical what you say. My father is a non-binary. And yeah, it says God is a spirit. He's not a man, he's not a woman. What you say is from Zeus. Zeus doesn't want other genders because the pagans don't marry people from other sex in Greece. They only marry straight cis people. Okay, thank you.
Because human
Mystic.
beings think that they're like the best, and that they're at the top of like the kind of the apex of creation, and therefore that they can go around you kind of raping and pillaging the world and its resources and its animals. So
Okay.
those are just two examples.
Speaking about abusing animals like that in context of gender, like gender combined with animal abuse and environment abuse is pagan ideology. I'm not saying if it is correct or not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying how a pagan usually says that people belong to more than two genders because the animal kingdom and the environment kingdom is abused by people. That's what they usually say, and it is pagan way of thinking. Did I mess it up because I'm tired? People belong to man and woman. They are only two genders, so the people are only man and woman, and the world belongs to man and woman, so the people should be governed by man and woman, not by non-binary and transgenders, because the environment and the animals are abused by people. That's how they say it. That's the correct frame. Now I put it correctly. This is pagan ideology. This is mystical ideology. Plato, read Aristotle. That's all found there. That's not biblical. Thank you very much.
Sexism, patriarchy,
Okay.
and environmental damage that the Bible is responsible for.
Can I just ask you to fact check something for me very quickly? Okay, because
Okay.
I have this Noah's Ark toy. All right, so here's the Ark, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's the Ark there. That's Noah. Happy.
Can I start straight away? White dude?
Right.
Yeah.
So Noah was not white.
No.
Okay.
Okay, carry on.
So okay.
So Noah was not a white dude. What he was? Green dude? What was his skin color, bestie? you know history, that's why I ask you. He's white dude. Okay.
Yoke there, that's Noah. Happy.
Can I start straight away? White dude?
Right.
Yeah.
So Noah was not white?
No.
Okay.
Okay, carry on.
So, okay. Well, I think that raises an obvious question about the elephants.
Barbarians. Barbarians.
So it's two elephants. There we go, 2 by 2.
Yeah.
We have 2 rhino, a bit more textbook. 2 by 2, and this is the big one. We have 2 lions, 2 by 2.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, how successful would Noah have been repopulating the world with 2 male lions?
Yeah.
Does that say that this is historically inaccurate, or Noah was a bit sketchy on animal husbandry?
Either he was sketchy or he didn't really get the right instructions from God. I'd be more inclined to blame God.
God was very busy. He's going, look, I'm busy
Yeah.
making a flood, grab some lions. I don't have time to do everything.
This is why I love the Bible, honestly.
Well, we loved having you here to talk about it. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay,
Please thank
so a
Francesca.
barbarian woman was met by a barbarian host in a barbaric country, and they spoke barbarian language about my civilized culture. Okay, I think I explained everything. Zay, if you have any question, you can feel free to sit in a comment section about what I said and say that I'm not scholarly enough still, that this is not a proper scholar, I should invite another scholar, probably of your choice. It's not scholarly enough, obviously, even though she has a PhD. I get it, okay. Hope I did the task. I think I did it very well. I know for your understanding I'm not scholarly enough still. And you know what? I am 25. I am almost, as I tell you, you are almost 50. I am too almost 30. I am into terms. I have come into terms with the fact that you don't like me as I am. So I'm not gonna do this bullshit again, because I am angry with what I listened, because this woman is a mystic and she's abusing her chair to say crap, and she's laughing in a crowd with barbarians about my father and my culture and my people, and she's portraying my people, the Hebrews, the Arabs, the Greeks, the Italians, the Turkish, as stupid, and I hate that. Just because she doesn't use the word, that doesn't mean that she's not doing that, okay? And I'm not gonna do that again for anybody, nor even you, because you don't respect me. Unless you learn how to respect me, I'm not gonna do your bullshit again, okay? Because I was doing my job properly and you were refusing to listen to me and read what the woman you loved and you spied was telling you about. You refused to do that, so I'm not gonna do your bullshit again. Get it? We will talk again tomorrow.